Hi, I'm John Yampaglia and I'm running for North Arlington Council. I was born in Margaret Haig Hospital in Jersey City in 1964. My dad is from Newark. He grew up in Newark, Weequahic section of Newark. My mom grew up in Harrison. The Weequahic section of Newark, it has a famous park, Weequahic Park. It's on the Irvington border. He grew up there in the 1930s and 40s. It was a beautiful area. Weequahic was known for just a beautiful part of Newark. My grandfather was a barber, and actually they lived on top of the barber shop. My grandfather was a barber in Italy. He had an apprentice program back then, probably very early, 1915s, 1913s. You would apprentice for about a year, and you were considered a barber back then. My grandfather emigrated here in 1916, if I'm not mistaken, and of course, he went to Newark. He settled in Newark and had a barber shop, and he raised his 4 children there. And he was a pretty good barber. I still have his blow dryer from 1919. And believe it or not, it works a little bit still. They were metal back then. So that's interesting. That's like an artifact we have. I still have it in my hair salon. He was working at the barber shop during the Great Depression. He had 2 houses, one in Newark, of course, on top of the barber shop, and he had another house in Maplewood. He lost the house in Maplewood because of the Depression, and I don't have to tell you, everybody was losing things during the Depression. There weren't safety nets that we have now. So, okay, yeah, my grandmother learned a little bit of English. Not too much, but enough to communicate. My grandfather, not so much, a little bit. You know, he had to communicate with his clients for haircuts, so a little bit. Yes, as a matter of fact, my name is at Ellis Island. Actually, my name's spelled wrong. It's really Iampaglia, so it doesn't begin with a Y because there's no Y in the Italian alphabet. Well, a funny story, my grandfather really didn't speak English, so he told the person at the desk at Ellis Island, Iampaglia, and they thought he said Y, and the rest is history. So my name begins with a Y, and it's Yampaglia. My dad went to undergrad Maryland University, and he went to law school in Maryland. I graduated law school, but before that, he served in the Korean War. And he was under the jury's advocate program, the law division of that part of the Air Force. So that's what my father did. Again, he worked for the a criminal division because I'm sure he always wanted to be a lawyer. So he was training to be a lawyer. So jurors advocate section of the military. So he worked for the military courts. Well, I mean, he worked on a lot of cases where some servicemen wanted to leave the Army because it was very stressful. I mean, I can't speak to this, but a lot of servicemen there's a lot of stress involved, and it follows you all through life, like my uncles and my dad. So he just helped people, get them help people stay in the service, and just got them the mental help they needed. And this was you have to remember, this was in the 1950s, where this was hush-hush. This wasn't something you talked about. You didn't talk about PTSD back then. And my Uncle Fred, we always used to wonder why he had a short fuse, and this is why later. Yeah, but again, in the 1940s, 1950s, this was not a subject to be visited. So that's why after my Uncle Fred came back from World War II, his whole goal in life was to help veterans. And he did at the VA Hospital Lyons. And he helped veterans till the day he died. And he died, I think, in like 2004 at the age of about 86. My mom grew up in Harrison, New Jersey. She went to Caldwell High School, Caldwell Girls College, back in the probably late 50s, and she became a paralegal, and she helped my father sometimes at his law office when he first opened up. So my grandfather, her father, was he came from Calabria, Italy. He landed in Michigan. He got a job at Ford, working on cars, and he actually met Henry Ford back in like 1915, 1920. So that was an interesting story. And he said he was a real nice guy, and he loved it there. He loved working for Ford Company, but he eventually got a new job, and he moved to New Jersey, Harrison, New Jersey. Well, my brother, he's a graduate of North Arlington High School. I think in 1987 he graduated. From there he went to Fairleigh Dickinson University, graduated with a communications degree, also I think a criminal justice degree if I'm not mistaken. From there he went on to law school, Touro Law School in Long Island. And he followed my father's footsteps, so he's doing quite well. He's been a councilman in North Arlington for a few terms, and now he runs a law office. He just had a little girl. She's 2 years. Veterans causes are very important and dear to me. The reason why I've seen my uncles and my father serve in the World War II, being my uncles, and Korean War being my father. So I've seen what they've gone through, and I've seen the stress that these wars and toll took on them. All right, my connection to veterans is really, I saw my Uncle Fred. My father's older brother served in World War II. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge. I think it was in Amsterdam or in that part of the Europe. He was a medic. One serviceman went down. My Uncle Fred went to help him. He stepped on a landmine. He got half his leg blown off. And then from that day on, he came back. That's how we met my aunt. My aunt was a nurse too, an Army nurse. And from that day on, he wanted to help veterans. So my Uncle Fred worked at the VA hospital. I think it was in East Orange. I think it was called Lyons Hospital, if my memory serves me right. I talked to my cousin, his son, and I just wanted to ask, I asked him one time, did your father talk to you about any World War II memories or experiences? And he said no, he never talked about anything. And that's it, he just never talked about anything. So I would have liked to have known about that. But my Uncle Angelo, he talked about one thing, and he talked about he helped liberate Dachau, which was a German concentration camp in Dachau, Germany. And I went to visit it in the late 80s, but he actually liberated it in the 1940s. So he talked about it a little bit, and he said it was a mess. He saw burnt bodies. It was just a mess, but he didn't want to talk about it too much also. Vote John Bolzak and John Yampaglia November 5th for North Arlington Council. Appreciate everybody. Thanks for your time.